Okay, this is Brent. I'm making this video primarily for Cara Mia. Just wanted to show you kind of the beginning of our summer crop and harvest here. And I'm particularly excited about this because this is the first year that I have not tilled my garden. I did not apply a rototiller or dig up the dirt or anything. I just started layering wood chips and grass on it, and then the grass kind of helped keep the weeds at bay. And then I've just started putting stuff in the ground, and so this is some of the beginning of our harvest. So I've been pulling cabbages out for a little while here, but there's a small head of cabbage. You can see it's not huge. So this is one of them. These stalks right here are actually Swiss chard stalks, and they can be eaten like celery. I've not had anybody suggest this to me. I've just started eating them, and they taste a lot like celery, or I should say the texture is very similar to celery. The taste is slightly different, but as long as you know to expect a different taste, they actually taste really good. Actually, I need to get back to you on that one because they may be... I ate something the other day that caused my throat to kind of swell up or get a little scratch, and I'm not sure if that's what that was. Anyways, yeah, that's just me. These are our purple beans. Think of green beans, but these are purple beans. We'll be cooking these up for dinner tonight. This right here is definitely the edible part of the Swiss chard. And Swiss chard, because we don't eat a lot of it in our society, is a good replacement for spinach in the summertime. So I've just stuffed this full. This is actually a rainbow Swiss chard. You can see there's actually different colors here. Out in the garden, I've actually got 4 different colors. Yellow, which is actually more of a green. Actually, there's a green and I think a lighter color, which is the yellow, and then there's like a burgundy. So there's supposed to be like orange, red, yellow, and green, different varieties of this, but it's a rainbow Swiss chard. And this is the beginning of summer squash. This is a fun little variety that you would never see in a grocery store because they're stuck together. But yeah, so these are my summer squash. Now I'm going to actually go take you out to the garden now, which is the really exciting part. To the back of our house here, and here's the chickens. There's the chickens. And they're doing good. We'll be getting eggs from them soon. Over here is my pond, and we got some cabbages that are growing right there.
Dad, what are you doing?
I'm making a video for Cara Mia. Your cousin. You want to say hello?
Hi, cousin. Hi, cousin.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. Then back here's the garden, and like I said, this is what I have not done anything to till this year. And this is guys, go get no. This is my first year not tilling the garden, and it is just exploded beyond understanding. The first year I just put a little bit of few plants in the ground. Halfway through the summer I tilled the spot where I did it, and they did okay. They just didn't do very good. Last year tilled again. I kind of got a good spinach harvest, but again a lot of diseased, a lot of stuff that just didn't look very healthy. And you can see the worms are kind of. I've got more cabbage over here, and worms are kind of chewing up some of it. But that's kind of when you don't use pesticides and you're just kind of using the resources you have available to you, you kind of go at it with an understanding that you're sharing your harvest with nature. And so some of the outer leaves get chomped up really good. But you see I got another good head right there coming up, and there's another one hiding right there. These right here, these trellises are part of what's called vertical gardening. And this is one set of butternut squashes, and this is the second set of butternut squashes. And you can see they're actually already starting to come on. Right there, really nice. And these guys, the goal is to get this just to kind of go up and over the top so that we have a little bit of shade over here. The last 2 trellises I have here, these are just cucumbers. The cucumbers are already starting to come on. Let's see if I can find little tiny ones in here. I don't see. They're still really hidden right now. There's I know there's some over here. There you go. There's one right there. There's actually a whole bunch. There's another one. I feel like I'm staring right at it, but I can't see it in the camera. Oh, it's right there. There's one right there. Oh, and then there's another one right there. So yeah, anyways, this is loaded with little tiny cucumbers right now, and again, kind of the same goal to get that going over here. The peas. This was my pea structure, and they're about done. Peas are a springtime crop. Over here, I've got pinto beans. I just took some pinto beans out of a bag from Walmart, put them in the ground, and this with my tomato plants growing around them are doing really good. Right here's where the Swiss chard came from, and the purple beans. Purple beans are right behind there. You can see there's still some on the vine right here. You can see the camera. Where are they at? Yeah, right there. There's the purple. Purple beans. They're not purple green beans. They're just purple beans. Tomatoes growing in back. We got a bunch of tomatoes that'll start coming on really strong. This is my. This thing looks like it's out of Jurassic Park. Like it should be growing next to a volcano. But this is my summer squash plant, and so getting there. You can see that's where I just picked the ones that came off today. There's some more growing in there. Yeah, they're down there at the base. They're really good. Kind of have layered this whole area. It kind of seems chaotic right now, but I put the Swiss chard in front because it would do fine with lots of sunlight. Green beans right behind that because I was thinking that would be a little bit taller, so it would have access to the sunlight that the Swiss chard wasn't blocking. Put the tomatoes behind that because I knew they would be taller, and then behind that I put lettuce, but I think that was too much layering because it basically, I don't even know if there's any lettuce back there still growing. If it is, it's not doing too good. And then on these bulbs right here, these are onions that I didn't harvest, and so they are going to seed. And once they start to go to seed like this, they're not worth much. But anyways, on the other side of this walkway here, I've got a pole green bean, and behind that there's some sunflowers and some other stuff that was already here. And I'll show you, this is my experimental potato patch there. Grapes on the vine. These things have been hard to get established, but they're coming along. Got a couple good clusters in there. We'll see. I really need a trellising system for this to get them up off the ground. The biggest problem I have with my grapes is that the wildlife will eat them up. And so I've had rabbits and deers come along and devour those. And then back here and back, you see I'm using these just wood pallets. And this is my watermelon that's climbing up there. And again, another vertical gardening attempt to see if I can get stuff to grow off the ground to use less space. So one of the big exciting discoveries for me, besides the fact that I didn't have to till anything, was I could cut the grass and just put it down in the garden. It seems really chaotic right now, but I've been doing this for a while, and this is more than a week of not really attending to anything. There's a pile of grass that Rachel's piled up for me when she mows the yard, and yeah, this is super exciting because this is the first time I've ever had my garden explode like this, and it literally is exploding. I wasn't expecting this kind of response from no fertilizer really, besides just throwing down grass, a little bit of ashes from our fire pit, and a little bit of fish fertilizer, but it doesn't seem to merit this kind of response with the amount of work that I have not done. You'll notice too, Chard, I've got a tree growing in the middle of the garden. That's our mulberry tree, and there's this principle in gardening called the food forest, and the idea is that you can have something growing at a bunch of different layers, because even though it seems like it's kind of blocking the sunlight, I have it positioned right over my pea patch especially, and the peas are a cooler crop, and so when it gets really hot in the summertime, this is providing shade, the goal of extending that harvest. Peas are one of those things that will just keep growing until it gets too hot. And so if they've got shade from a tree, that'll keep them from getting too hot too fast. So lots of really exciting things going on here. And I think I'll end over here in one of our berry patches. This was actually a wood pile 4 or 5 months ago, and I took all the wood that was decomposing and rotting here, and I moved it out of the way, and I put a tomato and some more cabbage in the ground here, and a few other plants to see how they would do. The tomatoes and the cabbages are the one that grew without, again, me doing anything to the ground, no fertilizer or anything. Just the decomposing wood on the ground gave it enough fertilizer to really just help this part of the garden grow. Right next to it, you'll see some of our berries coming on. These are a black raspberry, and we've already picked all the black ones off of them, but this is the first year as well that I've gotten a good sizable harvest off of these things. You'll see that this is just actually one plant that you're looking at right here, and I've got maybe 20 or 30 of these around the yard right now. And the secret to this was once the plant got long enough, I just had to nip the top off. Like I could even do that with this one right now. I'm gonna wait, but if I cut that off, it'll start putting all of its energy into the side branches, and then instead of just having one cluster of berries at the very top, you get a cluster of berries. You get between 10 and 15 clusters of berries on all the side branches. And so just one branch out of a raspberry bush or a blackberry bush can produce between 50 to 75 berries instead of just 10 to 15. So, or actually, it'd be like one cluster of 6 at the end. Anyways, so that's what I'm doing. I actually wish I was back in Arizona so I could try out some of these principles back there where there's a lot less water. Because here I don't have to water, but like once on a very rare occasion when we don't get enough rain. But yeah, I don't think anybody's watered this garden in over a week. And as you can see, it's not suffering. It's doing anything but suffering. So, yeah. Shoot me back any questions you have, Cara, because I was at your place and I saw that you were starting to do a little bit of gardening, and I wish I knew now what I wish when I was back in Arizona I knew a little bit more about what I know now about gardening, because it's totally changed the way that I would approach it now. Oh, and this is my pumpkin over here. Right there. So, all right. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.